Hi Equals, it's Kim, and welcome back to my channel, Kim Perfect TV, where we talk about LGBT issues. If you're new here, LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. Also include queer and questioning and all pan and bi and all of those other terms, as well as straight folks or people who don't identify as LGBT would like to learn something. Maybe I like to think that somebody would learn something, or at least have a new idea sparked. And every now and then I'm sure that those with whom I disagree might stop by my channel and take a look. And great, you're welcome here. Anyway, I am doing a series right now on the 4 agreements. I'm not doing the whole book. There are more chapters in it than the 4 on the 4 agreements. But this week we're talking about the 3rd agreement, which is don't make assumptions. We've talked about being impeccable with your word, and we've talked about don't take anything personally, so I'll link those in time up there. All of this sort of builds on itself. So when we make assumptions, we believe the assumptions. And boy, this is a lesson I am learning. By the way, I read this book a chapter a day, and I'm always seeing something new. And then as I move through, because I read it in the morning, then as I move through my day, I'm like, oh, okay, don't make assumptions. For me right now, it's, in developing my business, I have to make a lot of cold calls. And I look at, somebody's name or where they work, and I go, this person is never going to want my services. Is never going to want the assistance that I can provide. And then I go, don't make assumptions. You're taking things personally. And man, it's hard. But the problem with making assumptions, and part of our making assumptions is that we are scared to ask questions. Anyway, when I was growing up, I had a family member who asked a lot of questions. While it really, really annoyed me, I'm learning that asking questions is really a good thing. But because I grew up feeling that questions were an annoyance, that I grew up thinking that questions were rude. And I was never told that. It's just sort of something I decided about questions based on my experience growing up. And I've learned that questions are not rude. I have taken questions as, when I used to hear somebody ask me a question, I would assume that they were going somewhere with it and that I had done something wrong. And they were going to ask a series of questions that would prove that whatever it was that we were talking about, I was wrong. That's how I saw questions that people asked me. And in return, then, I didn't ask people questions because I didn't want to make them feel that way. Oh man, what a mistake. So I make all these assumptions about people, and I really shouldn't do that. And when we make assumptions about people or about things, we've taken something personally. It becomes about us when it almost guaranteed wasn't about us, and then we feel we have to defend things, and we've made an assumption to start with, so whoever we're talking to has no idea what we're talking about because that's not where they were going. Yeah, man, assumptions are hard. So I see it showing up for me right now in phone calls I make. But I think for LGBT people, we may not give straight folks enough chance because we so don't want to hear the negativity because we take it personally, that we make assumptions about them because of the way they look, the car they drive, the hat they wear, something like this, and we make assumptions. And it's probably a mistake. We shouldn't make assumptions about people, and we shouldn't take what they say personally. And we should ask more questions. I spend a lot of time at the beach here where I live, and my wife and I were out floating real close to our shore, and a girl and a guy swam up from the the apartments across the way, and they had been like trying to teach the guy was trying to teach the girl how to snorkel. Turns out they were a brother and sister, and the girl they're talking to us and says, "Oh, so are you guys roommates?" And I always go, but I decided, okay, no, I'm just going to answer this question. There's no assumption to be made in how this girl asked this question. And I said, no, we're married to each other. We're spouses. And anyway, her brother thought this was funny. And she laughed because, in essence, she made an assumption, but she did ask a question. And I didn't have to make her wrong, and she didn't have to take herself as being wrong. We worked it out. And because we didn't get all ruffled or make any assumptions about how the other was receiving it, and it went as a really good conversation. So, LGBT folks, don't make assumptions about how straight folks are going to receive you. Give them a chance to do the right thing and or learn from you what the right thing is. Give them that chance to learn. Give them, don't assume that people are going to respond badly. Don't assume that you can't talk to certain people. You just create drama when you make assumptions. You're like, oh, they're going to hate me. And then there's this drama that goes on your head about why they hate you. And they never hated you to start with. You made the assumption. Anyway, okay, so LGBT folks, we need to make sure we're not making assumptions about straight people, that we give them a chance. And straight folks, same thing. Don't make assumptions about your LGBT friends and neighbors and coworkers. If you need to, ask questions. Get clarity. Don't make an assumption. All right, equals. Have a great week. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Hit the red subscribe button. If you turn the little bell red, you will be notified every time I put up a new video. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally, and don't make assumptions. Join me next week for the 4th. Bye, equals.